Red is a collection of 8 stories. It's centered around a single theme. The 8 pieces of songs in the album each have its own story and its own flavor. But taken together, they are, I like to think they're more than the sum of their parts, because they each tell a different part of the story for the entire theme of the album. I see it as almost a mirror that is held up to us as individuals, as communities, as a nation. Well, some people like what they see and some people don't. So, but that's what mirrors do. That's how they work. So, to me, it's pretty much it's a story, but more importantly, it's a mirror. And I think the image that is reflected is without censorship, without it's not glossed over, and that is what really sort of pushed me when I first envisioned it to actually get the album out there. And what I think is what makes a lot of people excited about the album after they've heard it. It's something that I think people need to listen to, especially now, Malaysians especially. I think it pretty much applies to anyone, anywhere in the world, with the current political climate and stuff like that, but especially I think for Malaysians, because it's so much more intense here. This is definitely a conversation. That's the thing about the album. It's a conversation, and you get something out of it if you participate. In terms of quantity, it's actually how can I buy it, which is good news for me, because how do I get your album? Because it's a digital album, and I think a lot of people over here are not used to the idea of a digital album. I mean, I like the idea of being able to, for someone to be able to listen to it wherever they are, at whatever time zone they're in, whenever they want. In terms of quality, the kind of questions that I really enjoy are the ones where they ask, I heard this song and I thought it was about this. What is it about? How did you write it? Where does it come from? Is it true? How did you decide to write a song like this? And those are the questions that I really enjoy. They're far less, I think. Very few people would actually come up to me and ask me about what a song meant or a particular line meant. But those are the questions that I really enjoy having a discussion with people about that, what something means. There's a song on the album called Hantu Balu, and I think it's a song that a lot of people are not prepared for. They listen to it and it excites them and interests them, and it piques their curiosity. The kind of questions I would like to get is pretty much like that, just to show, it's nice to know that people are curious, that they're actually engaging with your work rather than being passive listeners or passive, accepting it passively. It really makes me happy when people actively take a role and say, like, what is this? What does it mean? What does it do? That to me, it's very fulfilling, because that's what I want to do. I want to engage people. I think in general we've been trained to become passive with our art. That's pretty much the kind of things that we listen to these days. There's a lot of passive stuff, like you turn it on the radio and then you forget about it, or you turn it on, you buy a CD, and it's just stuff that it doesn't really engage you, doesn't ask questions. It's meant to keep you within that comfort zone. And I like the idea that the medium that I've chosen, the whole digital download thing, already gets people into a sort of mindset where, this is different. Like, I have to actually adjust my thinking to something like a whole different sort of medium, because it's new here. I think very few people actually are fully digital. I think there are people who sort of listen to my work in a more sort of passive way. But I think if you want to really enjoy what I do, you really have to engage with it. it's like it's a two-way conversation, not a one-way conversation. It really, I think in general what they all share is a curiosity. They're all quite intelligent, from what I gather anyway. Or relative to me, I guess. But they're all, quite intelligent, very curious, and they're all definitely people who are looking for something more than the same old story that you get when you turn on the radio, when you turn on MTV or whatever. They're just bored, and they're looking for something that is more substantive, more interesting, challenges them, appeals to them. So in general, I would say it really is for people who are looking for. The way I like to put it is that if you turn on MTV, it's kind of like a one-night stand. It's wham bam, thank you man. Can't really tell if you'll remember it 2 years down the road. I like to describe my work as it's a passionate and long-time lover. You may drift apart every now and then, but you always come back together. It's always something that you remember later on. That's how I think about it. It's for people who are looking for somebody, or an analogy would be somebody who's looking for somebody who is passionate, who challenges them, who's not really one of the crowd, so to speak, and they want to get to know them and spend time with them and grow with them. That's how I see my music, I think. Well, we're actually here doing our rehearsals for Say It Like You Mean It, which runs January to August, fourth weekend of the month. This year it's our second year, it's our second season, and we have some really great ideas, so that pretty much takes up most of my time at the moment, writing, rehearsing for the show. You can find it on facebook.com/sayitmeanitpenang. I've also started writing for the next album. Oddly enough, I've probably got 4 pieces already for the next album. I will be promoting and performing Red, and I'm hoping if I can put it together a tour, maybe of Malaysia or Southeast Asia or whatever. But we'll see. That's pretty much done. So pretty much I will be on stage a lot performing. I am also writing a lot of stuff. So come down for Say Like You Mean It. Find me on my Facebook page as well, facebook.com/rebelrhyming. And keep in touch. Let's have a conversation.
Tales for the telling and songs for the asking, food for the wanting and drink for the dying, hell for the pious and heaven for the devil, hope for the lost and the heart at the saddle. A wish come true is a curse you choose. Pain so bad it turns to pleasure again. I am not anyone special, I cannot be considered wise, but some things I've learned as a student of life. But some things I've learned as a student of life. Some things I've learned as a student of life.
Okay, the first question is to please describe vividly and as much detail as you can your favorite underwear.
My favorite underwear. Male or female underwear?
Your choice. Anybody's underwear, doesn't matter.
Well, it depends. For comfort, the boxes. Male and female, for both male and female. I think the boxes is the winner for comfort. But if you're looking at pure visual appeal, I would go for red lacy underwear, either a G-string or a thong, but definitely not one of those for comfort, probably not for sporting events.
Okay, what is the funniest shit you've ever said in public?
What is the funniest shit I've ever said in public? I actually can't recall saying anything all that funny in public. I'm quite, how would you say, quite a composed person, I think, in public. But I have performed with my zipper open once. To me, that is pretty much The funniest. And I was just wondering why everybody was so interested in what I was doing all of a sudden.
Question. What are your 3 best characteristics as a musician?
One of my best, I don't know if I can go all the way up to 3. A friend of mine, actually, we had a conversation about, what is the point of doing what we do? What is the point of writing or making music or acting or whatever? And I said, there was one point I asked her, I was like, what's the point of just doing what it is? You're not, at the moment I'm not getting rich out of it, so, and very often, it's hard to understand, like, are you actually doing something right? Are you actually doing something worth doing with your work? And I think she probably gave the best answer I've come across so far. She said, really, you don't worry about whether people will get it. You don't worry about people will like it. You don't worry about whether it will sell. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters as a person and as an artist is you have to be true and you have to be brave. You have to be honest with what you do, and you have to be brave enough to say the things that you think need to be said. And that's pretty much what I stick to: be true and be brave.